Hey, everybody out there. Thanks for joining me again today. I'm going to talk about something a little bit unusual for my channel because if you're just tuning in for the first time, mostly I talk about guns, recreational firearms. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about this Barnett crossbow. And if I can get it up here. This is the Whitetail Hunter STR, as I'm sure you can tell from the title. And it's a really solid platform to do some hunting with. I was not a big crossbow user until just a couple of years ago. And I've had some problems with my shoulder, so I can't really shoot a bow like I used to. I had several reconstructive surgeries. And here in Georgia, in the North Georgia area particularly, if you want to hunt for meat, which is what I do, I'm not really a trophy hunter. I'm more feed my family with the few deer I get every year. You really have to use some kind of archery device to get the job done because our season is pretty limited as far as firearms go. So I picked this up a couple years ago just to dip my toe in the water, so to speak, and it's an inexpensive model. This is available online right now for between $400 and $450, and I think I paid about $450 for it a couple years ago. And to get right to the point, it's well worth the money. If you're looking at some of the reviews on some of the more popular websites online, you'll see that most people have the same thing to say about it, and I'm about to say the same thing as well. It's a quality piece. It holds together well. It's got a lot of features. It's got a lot of things very positive going for it. It's got Picatinny rail on the bottom, on the sides here, where you can attach whatever you want. I've actually got a sling mount, even though it has another sling mount right here. I've got my sling mounted up here on the rail just to keep it away from my hand a little bit. And I've just got a cheap old Allen sling from Walmart, and it attaches back here. It's got an adjustable butt stop here, so you get a little bit more length of pull out of it. And if you'll notice, I've got honestly a dish towel type thing, a hand towel zip tied to it to give me about another ½ inch because I need a really long length of pull. You can attach a crank to this model, but I don't have any need for that. It comes with a couple of arrows, which the Barnett 22-inch arrows are high quality, and I use those. I've got a bunch of them. I've gone through several. And it comes with a scope, which is basically garbage. I found that out pretty quick, and I upgraded to a Vortex Crossfire 2 crossbow scope, which increased the usability of this exponentially. I'm a big Vortex fan anyway. They're great. Their warranty is unparalleled in the industry for optics. But this upgrade, I want to say it was a little over $200 for this scope, maybe $250-ish, somewhere around in there. It wasn't terribly expensive, but it was a major upgrade to this whole outfit. I also added some dampers up here on the arms, and just stuffed some other random dampers in some of these holes. I've got some dampers on the strings to try to quiet it down because it is a little bit louder than some of your higher end crossbows. Another downside to this is it's relatively heavy, and it's relatively front heavy because of the step through cocking device. It adds a lot of weight in the front, and that makes it a little bit harder to shoulder and hold for an extended period of time. Now, again, I've had several reconstructive surgeries on my shoulder, but I'm a pretty strong dude. I work out a lot, and it's still a handful of crossbow to hold. So sometimes I will use a rest with it. I've got a little telescoping stick that I'll use with it sometimes, depending on what context I'm hunting with and how I'm hunting with it. But the long and short of it is I've taken a bunch of deer with this thing. I mean, a bunch. And I've never shot one where the arrow didn't go clean through and they didn't drop within 30 to 40 yards of the point I hit them. Most of the time, much earlier. I don't think it's appropriate for me to throw a bunch of pictures of my kills up here on YouTube. I don't know what they would have to say about that, but they're so weird. I'm just not going to do it. But take my word for it that this thing has harvested many large deer for me at this point. And I just got one the other day at about 40 yards. And I haven't replaced the strings on this. It may be getting to be about time for that. It's a couple years old, but the one I shot 3 days ago, it was just, I used the Rage hypodermic tips, broadheads, the 2-blade, and they put a huge hole in whatever you hit. I mean, those Rage hypodermic tips are fantastic. And I'll throw a picture of the arrow that went through this last deer up here right now for you guys to see. And you can see it's the same Barnett arrow that comes in this package. I buy those. Like I said, I've got a bunch of them, and I'm using those Rage broadheads. You rarely will get to reuse either one of those if you're hunting in the woods. If you're out in a field or something, you may be able to recover the arrow without any damage to it. But usually around here, it goes through the deer, and it's still got so much velocity that when it hits a tree, I've shattered 3 arrows like that, where I found them either just busted all over the ground or embedded in a tree. And of course that, you know, ruins the arrow, obviously, but it also destroys the pretty expensive head that you put on there, because those Rage hypodermic heads are not cheap. They're $15, $18 a piece, something like that, depending on where you get them and what the deal is. But that combination is extremely good. This bow is rated for 375 feet per second, and I've seen some really expensive ones up towards 500 feet per second. I don't know how you would want much more than what this is offering you, unless you're really taking super long distance shots. And I feel like that may be a little irresponsible to go bow hunting and take like a 100-yard shot. That's I'm sure there's people out there that can do it, but it just seems irresponsible to me. About the longest shot that I would feel comfortable with any type of archery setup would be about 50 yards. And like I said, I took one just a couple of days ago with this at 40 to 45 yards. And it still had enough velocity and force to cut right through that deer. The arrow went about another 30, 40 feet through the woods, and I recovered it, and it's actually in good shape. Like I said, you see the picture of it. But the deer that I shot with it made it about 20 yards down a hill and was stone dead. And I butchered that thing. I didn't butcher it, but I gutted it and harvested the organs for food, and took it to the processor. But it destroyed a bunch of the innards of that thing. I mean, it's remarkable how effective these crossbows are. I would say it's comparable to a large caliber rifle, like a 308 or a 300 Win Mag or something like that. I mean, these crossbows do a lot of damage. So the Barnett Whitetail Hunter, if I could upgrade anything on this and spend more money, if you're going to spend more money, it would be on something that was a little lighter weight and maybe more well distributed. Some of those really expensive crossbows out there, and I mean, they've gotten pretty crazy. They are lighter. Some of them are carbon fiber, and so that may be an advantage that those have. But if you're in a situation where you don't have a problem shouldering and holding this on the point of aim long enough to get the job done, which if you're an experienced hunter, you know, sometimes that could be a couple of minutes, or if you're going to be able to use a rest, it's a really great option. It's got a lot of safety features. You can't dry fire this. It won't go into safe. It won't be able to take the safety off until it has an arrow in it. It's got some finger guards. Don't mess around with that and do anything stupid. But it's got the built-in Picatinny rail for the scope. The scope mounted up nice. It's very accurate out to from what I can tell, what I've shot, about 60 or 75 yards on a target I've made. With this upgraded scope, it was easy to dial in, and it's got the illuminated reticle. So if you're out early in the morning or right at dark, it's still gonna be viable. And it's just a good overall, very consistent bow. The trigger is very good on this, which was something I was worried about coming from firearms world into crossbows. I really didn't know what to expect, but the Whitetail Hunter's got a really nice crisp trigger. It's very predictable, and it's been really solid for me, and it's fed the family here for a couple of years very consistently. So if you're in the market for one of these, most of the reviews, there's thousands of those. There's probably hundreds of these video reviews of this on YouTube if I had to guess. But it's a really solid piece. Go out there and pick one up if you're interested in getting into the archery hunting arena. I'm sure it wouldn't have any problem taking down a hog, because I've had some really big deer I've taken down with this, no problem whatsoever. So anyway, that's what I've got to say. If you're a regular tuning back in, sorry this is not about firearms, but I'll have some other cool stuff coming up shortly on the channel, so stay tuned. I've got some updates on some things to talk about and some new stuff to talk about. And I hope everybody has great holidays, and I will see all you shooters out at the range.